What's it like to be the executive chef at a spa resort in the pressure cooker that is Napa Valley? How do you keep 10-year plus, long tenured kitchen employees involved? You move them up through internal promotions, you give them control of the menu, you teach them to lead, but how do you keep them interested after 10 to 15 years working in the same kitchen, going through the same kitchen door every day? Those are some of the questions that I explore with Chef Gustavo Rios. He's the guest on today's episode of The Industry Standard. We did this episode in my truck via Zoom because I was in the middle of a long prep day at Proximo. So I had to dip out in the middle of that. The phone overheated, blah, blah, blah. Video cut out. So there's only video through about the first third of this podcast, but we kept the energy up. We kept the mic rolling. So there's no interruption to the audio. But you're here at the Industry Standard. This is where we answer real questions from the industry, give you clear solutions. You're here because you want to open your own restaurant someday. I'm here to help you get there. Experience is a cruel teacher. She gives you the test first and the lessons later. Well, on every episode of The Industry Standard, and especially today's interview with Chef Rios, you're going to learn from our experience. You'll be able to take those hard lessons, dodge them yourself, save you time, save you weeks, save you months, save you years, get where you want to go, opening your own restaurant. Stay with us, stay humble, stay hungry, enjoy the show.
All right, y'all, welcome back to The Industry Standard. This is probably not the first podcast ever recorded in a truck, but the first one that I've ever recorded in a truck. A little bit under adverse conditions today. I'm in the middle of a full prep day here at Proximo, and I'm parked out back. One of the chefs is on vacation, and I'm covering for somebody's day off. So, if any locals come up and offer to buy drugs or try to buy cigarettes, just play it cool. I'll try to do the same. And I'm really excited to have Chef Gustavo Rios on the show today. So Gustavo and I met back in 2007. He was part of the opening team at Soul Bar. He then moved on to be sous chef and be chef de cuisine. And then he became executive chef at the restaurant that we opened in Calistoga, Evangeline. It was a Creole French bistro. It still is a Creole French bistro. It just celebrated its 10th birthday actually on February 2nd. And, Gustavo is unbelievably talented and one of the nicest and funniest people I've ever met, inside or outside the restaurant industry. So I hope you enjoy. I know I'm really looking forward to this, spending this time with him. I think you're going to enjoy it too. Thank you. Stay humble. Stay hungry. All right, Chef Gustavo Rios, welcome to the Industry Standard.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Right on. Well, tell us what your position is right now.
So I'm an executive chef at Soul Bar. It's a restaurant in Calistoga, Northern California, Napa Valley. And it's inside one of the Auberge Resorts hotels named Solage.
Okay, great. And what about all those people on the wall behind you? Who are they?
Oh, that's my, or should I say that's my biggest fans. So that's my two daughters, my wife, Sophia, she's 9, Luna is 3. And there's a few K9s around, Lucy and Georgia, moving around, and then some of the family. But yeah, that's kind of like my fan base for sure.
Awesome, looks great. Well, so you and I started working together back in 2007, and I want to go through my memories of that first day and see how they align with yours. So Solage opened on, I think, July 12th, 2007. I can't remember the exact date, but it was around then. And so I was hired the preceding December as the executive chef. And when I started working, the office was in a mobile home unit, and the hotel itself was just like dirt and mud and framed out buildings. And then we moved to another temporary home and we started hiring. You came aboard, Ryder came aboard, and so we started hiring the cooks. And so the restaurant is still being built. The resort is still being built. We're getting permits. We're planning menus. And the day before we had everyone in the kitchen for the first time, I think I'm getting all this right. I went to a NASCAR race with my brother-in-law, the only one I've ever been to. We went to the Sonoma racetrack, out in the sun all day. It's July. It's 1,000,000 degrees in Sonoma County, and we're just drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale in the sun all day. So I got home and I felt terrible, obviously, waking up the next day. And I go into the kitchen, and it's the first day that I'm welcoming you and all the cooks that we've hired and everybody else in this brand new shining kitchen for the first time. And I feel awful. And then I realized that, I knew that most of the crew that we had hired was Spanish first. And so my memory of this moment is of starting this speech that I've rehearsed to the crew, giving them the mission for the first time, and having to stop because I realized I don't have the Spanish to do it, and they don't have, and most of the crew is not getting what I'm saying. And I look at you and ask you out of the blue to translate with no please, no preparation, no warning, no anything like that. Do you remember that moment? Do you have the same memory?
I do remember being in there in the morning with the prep crew and the lunch cooks
Uh-huh.
because we had to cook for the staff. I think we were running the scenarios and the setups, but I do remember being in the huddle. And then, yeah, you speaking about it, and then everybody's kind of looking around like they don't understand what you're saying. But then, yes, I briefly remember. I mean, there was a lot of translations during the beginning of it, right? Trying to kind of, you and Ryder and everyone else kind of got used to being able to speak a little bit of the broken Spanish, English in the kitchen. But yes, I do remember that. Maybe not to the detail. I had no idea that you went and got, sunburn and Sierra Nevada. We're panning Sierra Nevadas and the Sonoma
Yeah.
race. That would probably totally make more sense. But yes, I do remember that for sure. There was a lot of unknowns. It was very exciting. It was very scary, all at the same time. But we believed and we understood and we had a good leader. So we just had to put our heads down and listen, right? So yeah, but yes, it's a little blurry. It's been a
Yeah.
long time for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but no, yeah, for sure. That was definitely
And so are there still some of that crew still around? You still have some of those guys on board?
yes. It's in and yes, there's a lot of them that were there when we opened. Some kind of took a break during some of the time, for the last few years,
Mhm.
and some are back. But yes, there is probably maybe two or three that are still around
Mhm.
from the opening from the get go. Tyson Ismail is still the
Yeah.
kind of like backbone there for
Uh-huh.
sure. And yeah, I mean, eventually, a lot of the stewards that started there, they became prep cooks, became line cooks.
Right.
And it's just it's kind of like the system how it works. So but yeah, a lot of them are a few still around for sure. um and maybe not from the beginning, but usually 2 or 3 years later down the road, with the opening and all of that, they're still around for sure.
Yeah. Well, some of them I remember seemed like natural leaders back then, like Lucas. He moved up, he became AM sous chef pretty quickly. It seemed like, and some of the others, what's it been like? How do you identify ones who, yeah, okay, this guy is a steward, he's always going to stay a steward, or this guy looks like he could step up and contribute someday? Are there certain common traits, or is it just an individual performance?
No, I think it's a mixture of both worlds in there. To me, first of all, it's observing, watching, being present when they're there, when I'm there, to see how they behave in the kitchen, how they move in the kitchen, how much hunger do they, how hungry are they,
Mhm.
and then that's one of the probably the coolest and most rewarding thing is to see the hunger that they have. So because we kind of have the resources and the skill level and the brains to help and assist that. Um, so, and then the second thing is to have conversations with them. Some of them are okay with their 8 hour shifts and they don't worry about it. They rather have that 6 o'clock morning shift, be able to get a second job. And some want to move up. Some don't want to be in the dish room. Some don't want to be in prep for a long time. So then if the opportunity comes to become, the lunch cook or become a prep cook, then the opportunity is there. But most likely, organically, naturally, they do it on their own. They finish
Mhm.
what they're doing, and you turn around and they're doing something else that technically they're not, not supposed to be doing, or we're not allowed to do, or we didn't tell them to do. And that's one of the coolest things about working in the kitchen and working with all these different type of skills and personalities is you find the ones that are really interested in moving up, really interested in learning a little bit more. And obviously my job is to be able to give them those resources and help them develop for sure.
Well, one of the things that I'm most grateful for looking back on having worked at a hotel for, I was there for 9.5, almost 10 years, were the things that I learned outside the kitchen. And so, at least once a week, I'm sitting down in the executive committee meeting and there's an expert in finance, there's an expert in HR, there's an expert in sales, there's an expert in spa, there's an expert in guest service, and there's a general manager. And so, once I got back into the private restaurant world, I knew a lot about HR. I knew a lot about finance, and so that's one thing that I want this podcast to do is to help line cooks, sous chefs, and people who are on their way up learn about those things that they're not going to learn, in a private restaurant kitchen. But which of those areas, or are there some of those areas that you picked up a lot on since you've been executive chef there that you think you might not have gotten in a private restaurant setting?
I think it's one of the things about where I work and being part of Solage. It's a very open book. It's the access to P&Ls, the access to cost and to managing and writing things people up, and coaching is very open. So all of our sous chefs have access to that. It's up to them how much they really want to use that tools. But they're there. They're not hidden. They're not, oh, you can't see this because it's conflicting, confidential. But no, being in the hotel and also coming from a restaurant, there's definitely a lot of opportunities that you usually don't see in a little restaurant or a single restaurant that only does one service, which is usually dinner, or even two services, lunch and dinner. So that has helped a whole lot. I've been able to pass it on to my sous chefs and managers and supervisors when it comes to make sure the invoices are in, make sure that we know how much the the black cod costs today and how much it's going to cost tomorrow, and what are we buying, why are we buying the last 3 days of the month, and why are we buying or bulking up in the beginning of the month. So those are very crucial and important, I think, information that sometimes in a small restaurant you don't see that. Like you said, there's experts in all the scenarios, from finance to HR and sales. So that definitely, I take a little bit of that information, once a week, and try to spread it and try to give it to my sous chefs, and eventually the sous chefs, into the line staff. But yeah, there's some that probably don't understand it or don't really care much at the moment. But there's some that are really hungry and they're asking those important questions that I guess maybe you wish you will ask yourself, years ago.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, another thing that is in private restaurants is usually relegated only to the ownership level. So even if you're hired as executive chef at a private restaurant, you may not have access or knowledge of, access to or knowledge of what goes on in terms of marketing and PR and advertising and those things. So is there part of the sales team or the marketing team that you interface with and help decide on whether it's a particular promotion, or, hey, this is our sales initiative or our marketing initiative for the coming year? What's the process like at that level?
It is very one-on-one. We do have a team of not only sales but PR that we are share with two other properties in California, and the other one's in Napa. Stanley Ranch is another property, and then Maddie's, which is in Los Olivos in southern, I guess we'll call it Southern California, but Santa Barbara. So we share some of the talent that they have with us. But we do weekly meetings regarding the next. What is the next programming? What is the next thing we need to advertise? What are we, what's the message? And from, experiences in the hotel to a broad auberge scenario, or mainly, dinners or holidays are coming up, from Easter brunch to Mother's Day. Those are really, really important meetings, very educational for me. I'm still learning every day on how things work. So one of the hardest thing is from a PR or advertising or even sales. They want 3-4 months ahead of time, and for me to create a menu 3-4 months ahead of time is like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to be in season in 3-4 months. Yes, I can look at the calendar, I can look at last year's menu and see what's available, but it just doesn't work. If the rain lasts a little longer, or the frost comes in, or it gets really hot, bobbles are gone. It lasted for a week. kind of thing. So
That's right. That's right. You got to get that Thanksgiving menu in by Memorial Day for sure.
exactly, and so that's definitely very challenging. Sometimes it becomes very frustrating, because as a chef, we're creative. There is, I think, percentage of procrastination. Totally get it, but I think it's just a lot of being humans. But as a chef, I don't know. It's like you take your time, you try to be, think about it all the way through. But yeah, trying to write down menus, 6 months from now, 4 months from now, it makes it a little challenging and tough, but we try to give the information out because I understand that it takes a process to be able to push things through. And now with technology and, social media, it's very important, what goes out there, and it goes in a timely manner. So then the event or the sales can be successful for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, what's the creative and collaborative process like in your kitchen? Who do you have there to bounce ideas off of? How does that work?
It honestly, it has been a group effort. As of right now, we have three sous chefs. So we technically don't have a chef de cuisine. We had one, but it's been a few years now, and we haven't technically replaced that position. We might be working on that for this coming year. But it's bouncing ideas between kind of all of us in a way. At the end of the day, yes, we want to represent Soul Bar for what it is and protect that identity. And at the same time, I want to be able to give them the opportunity to create those dishes or those ideas that they have. Obviously, we started with Cook's Hot Sheet, right? What is available? What's out there? What's coming? We talked to our driver Al from
Mm-hmm.
our main. He has become kind of like a rep. Cook's company, as of today, is a local company here in San Francisco and Bay Area. They don't have a rep. They have a driver, and they have Rick, the owner.
Yeah.
And he's been good to us for so many years. But Al has become our driver has become kind of like a rep. So he'll bring a box, of what's available, what's coming up, what's leaving. So it kind of becomes a personal hot sheet, which is really, really, really cool. So that's kind of with the mind, the creative juices start going. It's like what's available. What are we doing with peas? If peas are going to be in 4, 5, 6 items in the menu, then it's not a good idea. So those are the things that we kind of think about. At the end of the day, I kind of have become a little protective about certain things. And I'm like, no, we can't move this or we can't change this. One of the things I've learned is like, if there's a dish that has become popular, I don't want to call it staple because I don't know, or a popular, a signature dish. I wouldn't call it a signature dish. I would call it popular by demand because people want it. People keep ordering, people keep coming back for it. If we want to change something like that, I think to me, it has to be the same level as that one or better.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go lower than that, right? So that makes it tough. And also it kind of becomes like, well, then we can't take anything off the menu because everybody wants this, everybody wants that, So then we start as a special. All right, so let's run a special and let's see how it sells. It moves. We get a feedback from the servers. We get feedback from the guests. And then we run it for a couple of days. And eventually, if it was a popular item, it sells well, then it kind of makes it into the menu in a way. But I think there was a conversation about, they come with your dish and they come with their dish and they come out of with my dish.
That's right.
That is so true.
Yeah.
But I have to stop myself from it because I got to put myself in their shoes, right? But it has to make sense. It has to make sense. There has to be harmony between the ingredients. The ingredients that is peak season, that does make sense. To me, it's about it's about texture. It's about flavor. So it's yeah. Anyways, but yeah. So it's an ongoing process. It happens all the time. People get excited, so I get excited. I be able to get them excited about it. So it's definitely a very harmonious relationship that we have regarding food.
Nice, nice. Well, if you could take us through, just tell us briefly about the different outlets that you have at the resort, and then I want to zero in on Pico Bar.
Yes. So Soul Bar is the main restaurant at the resort. It does breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then we have Pico Bar. Pico Bar is almost 4.5, 5 years old since the when I open it, and that's a little more. We call it flip flop friendly. It's right next to the pool. There's 2 bocce courts. It's a beautiful lawn next to it. Outdoor restaurant, and the inspiration behind that one at the beginning when I first came back, because this is my second time being at Solage. It was my day 3. I was there day 2, and they hand over these blueprints. And thanks to the experience and being around, I know what a blueprint looks like. I know what a fryer looks like in a drawing, and I know what a freezer looks like in a drawing,
Yeah.
right? So they handed over the blueprints, and they were like, "You have 2 days to make any changes." And first of all, I was like, "First of all, I understand what this is, but what is it for?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a new restaurant that's going to be at the pool. You didn't know?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." But you know what?
They left that out of the interview process. Huh?
They forgot to let me know on that one, because there was still the little kitchen out there by the pool.
Uh-huh.
So they were going to go into this huge remodel that I wasn't aware of, which at the same time was very exciting, and kind of got my blood flowing, maybe boiling sometimes, but anyways, it was most of it flowing. So anyway, I know it was a pool deck. It was a pool kitchen. It was definitely bigger than what it was. We overgrew the business level from that kitchen, so we needed something bigger. The pool was huge. They added more chairs, so it was a whole thing. So I looked at it, and I knew there was no concept yet. But I had 2 days to fix it. So I knew that we needed to make sure we had a big ice machine. That was always an issue. And I wanted to make sure that we had an extra fryer and a grill. Doesn't matter what it was going to be, right? So you got to have those. You're at the pool. I don't know, burgers, sandwiches, something. So that was the changes. And as times went on, they kind of thinking about the name and what they wanted to do. So I definitely got very lucky with ownership and with management then, and they were like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Cool. Well, I think we should do a really cool, laid back, Mexican food, tacos, salads, ceviches, tostadas." And they're like, "Okay," and so then they asked me to draft kind of like a menu. We drafted a menu trying to, grab my kind of the roots from Mexico and California ingredients, and trying to just kind of mix it all around. And Pico Bar kind of was created. So a lot of the recipes and a lot of the dishes there has become not only from my childhood or what I grew up eating, but also from the staff, from my cooks. From the mole to the salsas, it's like they have their version of what they grew up with, what they know, why the understanding of it. So then my job was to grab those pieces and kind of bring it together and kind of make it, I don't know, make it a Northern California thing, or make it a little more elevated, but to a certain level. Mexican food is not supposed to be fine dining. I think Mexican food is like is food with the soul. You feel it, you can smell it, you can see it, but I don't think it has a level of fine dining. But I think it's a very comfort food, but it can be done at a very high level. And to me, high level when it comes to Mexican food is consistency, right?
Yeah,
consistency is huge. It's something that I preach to the team day in, day out. We have one shot to make sure that person that comes in tells their friend to come back, and we have one shot to that person to tell them don't go there, and they probably will not come. So consistency to me is huge. Pico Bar has done a great job. Yes, winter's a little tough, but the whole special place about the whole thing is to be able to sit outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, great food. We have great drinks, and it's doing well. It's doing great. So we're very, very excited. Menu changes not as often as we would like to, but there is development, there is change with seasons for sure. The elote, the corn on the cob. In the summer it's on the cob. In the winter it comes off and it goes into the cup and becomes esquite kind of thing.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to add, because on Solage's Instagram, the news and the photos and the coverage of the head tilt menu looks off the charts. So tell us what the head tilt menu is. Tell us what it means. And the inspiration for that.
Yes. So head tilt. So last winter or last fall, we were challenged to kind of come up with another bridge or another idea for some revenue because things were getting a little slower. So, usually people, it's like 20% off on Mondays, or you buy one thing, you get one free, or dollar oysters. I mean, you name it, right? People have come up with a lot of things. A lot of things do work, but then they'll stay kind of consistent. And I kind of wanted to think something a little bit outside of the box. On Monday, Tuesdays, regularly, Pico Bar closes around 5 o'clock. The demand is not there. Everybody checks out on Monday, so everybody kind of leaves. We do get a little bit of corporate groups, so that means that they have planned dinners or lunches. So Pico Bar gets a little quiet on Monday and Tuesdays. And also in the beginning, it was a kind of like a staffing problem that kind of has adjusted by now. But it just became where Monday, Tuesday, it closed early. So I decided we kind of pitched the idea to turn over on Tuesday nights, take over the bar, which it hold 8. Now we're able to fit 12. And the idea was to kind of create this kind of omakase style menu, but with tacos. Right. The reason head tilts is when we were creating the menu, Solage has always been identified as playful and a fun environment, friendly, family friendly. So we were trying to come up with the titles on the menu and trying to be playful. And we got stuck in tacos. And this conversation was happening at home. Back then, Sophia was 6, and she said, "Well, why don't you just call it head tilts?" And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like head tilts? She's like, yeah, that's the position that you do when you eat a taco. And I'm like, oh, got it. Okay, cool. I mean, that's pretty genius. So on the menu, it says tacos, AKA head tilts. So we didn't want to call it Taco Tuesday. We didn't want to call it, whatever. So then the idea came, oh, let's use the head tilts slogan or the title and call it a head tilt experience. So that's what kind of became that. So it's myself and usually a sous chef or 2 sous chefs, or my sous chef and a supervisor of a line cook that is available to do. And we kind of take over the bar. We do have a barista that helps us, a mixologist that helps us with some of the drinks a la carte. And we kind of create this 8 tasting course menu that we go through. All of them are head tilts in a way, from ingredients that are typical in Mexican cuisine, but also kind of elevated and delicious. You take one bite, you take 2 bites, and you want more, but then it's gone, kind of thing. So it's really fun. It's been a lot of influence from some of the items that are on that menu have become kind of like a kitchen snack, and where there's leftovers here and there, and you make yourself a snack, and you're like, oh my God, that was so good, so delicious. So you kind of want to share that with the world. So we did. So we started on Tuesdays. We did it for about 3 months in the fall and into the winter, and it was a sold out event every week, which was really really cool, really exciting. So then we took a break, and then we kind of started thinking about it. So we're about to start this next week. Next Tuesday, the 8th, is kind of our first one, and then we go on. Some of the items, some of the dates are not available because some people do buy Pico Bar, so it kind of makes a conflict. It makes a little bit of conflict. So, but there's all the dates are available. We're almost sold out for the month. There's a couple days where there's a couple seats left. So we went from 8 to 12. And probably the hardest thing was being able to keep 4 and introduce 4 more. And that was very, very hard. It's kind of like asking, you got to get rid of one of the girls, and you got to get rid of one of your daughters to bring another one. So, no, it was tough. But it was a team collaborating assignment. I think we got it done. We're very excited. Example is, mole. So mole wasn't on the lineup last year. So mole wanted to be introduced. It's a recipe from some of the family members from Oaxaca, and then we turn it into kind of like California. So it's very delicious. It has depths of flavor. But what we did is we grabbed we're doing a chicken wing. So, but we're only using the flats, the middle of the wing. We get rid of the tip. We get rid of the drumette. So we keep the wings. We cold smoke them, and then we poach them, and then we take off the bones. So it's a boneless, beautiful wing. But when it was poached in some of the mole base. So then when you take it out, it's being fully cooked. but it has nice tenderness still. It's nice and juicy. And then what we do is now is we're brushing it with the mole sauce, where it's nice and tacky, nice and thick, and it goes over the bichotan grills that we have at the bar. So there's a lot of live cooking that happens there. Everything's done live in front of you, which is really cool. And the most special is just having conversations, talking about food, talking about what we're working with. One of the dishes growing up in Ensenada, it was driving up about 45 minutes up north, going to get beans, rice, and lobster with flour tortillas. So to me, that brings like childhood memories, and it's so special. So one of the dishes, it is lobster. It's not spiny lobster, but it's Maine lobster. It has, these beautiful flour tortillas that we're cooking right in front of you that puff up like balloons, which is so cool. And one of the things that I've learned from just, eating out and seeing what everybody's doing, there's this place in San Francisco called Californios. And it's kind of like a high-end Mexican food that he does. And one of the things he does is he turns the puree into this foam and ice icon. So it gives it this different texture, right? So we kind of make our own puree. We added it. We tested it a few times. So we're using Rancho Gordo beans from, our source in Napa. And we're making this beautiful puree, and it goes in the gun. It turns into this air of bean balloon, right? And the lobster tail goes right in there that has been brushed with a chicatana and salsa butter. So it has this spiciness, it has this earthiness, and it's so delicious. You just close that thing and then just close your eyes. It takes you back to, back where home is, which is really, really, really cool. So those are kind of like those ideas and those dishes that we have kind of created with different flavors, different textures. The squid ink tortilla. So we're making a squid ink tortilla because we make a tortillas there from different, corns. Squid ink is awesome because we have a squid dish on the menu that is very simple: baby squid from Monterey, grilled, lime, and then it's this spicy matcha mayo. And like I said, sometimes there is, scraps, so you grab it, you make yourself a taco, and we're like, whoa, this is so cool. So then we did a squid ink tortilla. There is this grilled squid, the aioli, and then we also grabbing some of that and then kind of doing a little fried kind of thing, almost like a tempura. So it gives you crunchiness to it. So 1-2 bites, and it's just like it explodes in your mouth. So it's really, really, really cool. So we're very excited. One of the things we didn't get to work with was Dungeness crab in the fall. So now we're doing a flauta with Dungeness crab. It's so sweet. It's so luscious. So nice, crispy, cylinder of corn stuffed with this awesome sweet Dungeness crab, and so on. So anyways, but yeah, it's very exciting. It's very unique. And people seem to enjoy it. So, and we have a lot of fun doing it for sure.
That sounds incredible. Well, I want to date myself for a minute here. I'm so old that one of the first restaurants I worked on. So when I was in college, I went and worked on Nantucket Island, so off of Cape Cod for one summer. And one of the restaurants that I worked at had lobster ensenada on the menu. Okay, and obviously it was not spiny lobster; it was Maine lobster. But I just remember the plate up, and the lobster was taken apart, and the meat was put back into its shell with like chili lime butter or something. But you're not going to believe this, but between the claws of the lobster, when they presented it, there was a tortilla in each claw when they presented the lobster ensenada to the guests. So sorry you had to hear that, chef, but that's my memory of lobster ensenada, I'm afraid. What's the I know. What's the dessert taco on that menu?
You're not going to believe it. Last year, we did, from arroz con leche. We did a version of a flan. The probably most popular was the pavlova, but it was funny because in Mexico or growing up, fruit, berries, right? Strawberries are in season. Right. You make fresas con crema. But there is always never a crunch. It's just strawberries, sour cream, condensed milk, and then the fruit, and then you mash it up, and you're a happy kid. And then in the winter, it turns into banana, right? Banana with cinnamon, same thing. Sour cream, condensed milk, a little bit of cinnamon, and then you're a happy kid, right? So there was always never a crunch. So we turned the fresas and crema, and we kind of did just a very simple pavlova, vanilla poached strawberries, the crema inside, freeze dried, and it was delicious. It was a very light dessert to end of it. But now this year we're kind of like pushing a little bit more, trying to be a little more playful. So we're working on a choco taco. So we're gonna bring choco taco back. Very, very small.
Yeah.
The waffle tortilla or the shell is going to be made out of masa. So it's going to be corn for sure, corn flavor. No waffle, no vanilla, no cake,
no fouilletine, right?
No fouilletine, exactly. So definitely the corn aspect, the smell, the flavor, crispy, and then working on a Mexican chocolate, kind of like a chocolate mousse that goes in there, something light, fluffy, but to represent the kind of like the playful aspect of head tilts. It's just at the head tilt,
right?
And
wait, well, is there a pairing option with that menu? Do you just suggest certain custom cocktails that y'all have?
So we have Eddie. Eddie's kind of like the genius behind the bar there at Pico Bar. He's usually doing something with mezcal or something with tequilas. We have a great selection of both of them. So he has crafted some really, really cool cocktails. He's from Jalisco, so he definitely brings a lot of history when it comes to the inspiration and the making of the cocktails. But there's also people that just want to sip. They just want to sip on a mezcal, on a tequila. Nice little pours. So we do have we have a mezcal flight, we have a tequila flight, and then there is like 3 or 4 kind of cocktails that are welcome to. Last year it was paired we did 4 cocktails, so technically a cocktail was supposed to be enough for 2 of the bites. Some people liked it, some people thought it was too much, so we kind of decided to kind of make it your own. So we do create 4 of the four cocktails. There's some beer. Obviously, there's a beer from Mexico, and there's also we're working with a beer locally here. That we're offering, and then there's some red and white wine because there's some people that want to have a glass of red wine or white wine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in Napa Valley, yeah.
Yes.
Some people like to drink wine in Napa Valley.
Yes,
it happens. Well, this is going to be tough for the listeners to see, but I'll do some screen grabs. You can send me some shots of some of your latest creations. But I've been cooking for Anyway, I've been in kitchens over 30 years. You, to this day, are still the most aesthetically gifted when it comes to plating person I've ever worked with. And it's so effortless for you that I think it must come naturally. But is there a calculus or a balance or just that goes through your head as you're plating up a new dish? Or is it just a bolt of lightning? Or is there just an assurance when you put the ingredients together, they're going to land this way? How does plate composition and plating work for you?
That is a very, very good question. I know a lot goes in my head. I don't think there's a specific kind of like formula that goes through my head on how I do it. It's funny that you asked, because I remember even being in Soul Bar when you were there. We had from J1s to culinary students and things like that, and it was funny because I don't know what plate it was, but he looks at me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, did you go to plating school?" And I almost died. I was like, but because he was so real. He was being honest and and I'm like, no, unfortunately, I did not go to plating school. No, I think to me, I do picture what are we working with? What is it? And honestly, sometimes it starts. We plate the dish one time, and by the time we do the 10th dish, the whole thing just changes completely.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that drives my sous chefs and my line cooks a little bit of crazy. It's like, well, it was like this yesterday. I know it was like yesterday, but today we want it to look like this. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, chef. Yes, chef. No. I don't think there is particular things like, oh, we have to do this. No. I don't know. I think I don't know. I think I'll take that as a gift. I love it. I enjoy it. But sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just like, no, it doesn't make any sense. But there's also, going out to eat or looking at people's food and understanding what people are doing. It's totally an inspiration. I'm not. I didn't invent it. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just using a little bit of pieces from here and there and kind of, I don't know, becoming my own in a way. So.
Well, I know it's still, so we had a couple menu changes here at Proximo yesterday, a couple the day before, we have a few later this week. And still anytime it might be a menu change or it might be a special event. You're doing something for the first time so you can show how the cooks how it's going to be done. And I still hate that fucking feeling of everybody watching. Like, okay, where's the spoon? Where's the salt? And I know it's going to taste good, but I also know that what I'm putting on the plate for the first time is not the finished product. And that drives me crazy. So I'm glad to hear that for somebody like you, who I think is amazing at plating, it's still a process and there's still a first draft and 10th draft. So thank you. That's a relief. I appreciate that.
No. Thank you. I appreciate you putting me on that pedestal. Thank you so much. That means a lot. But yes, I know that feeling where, yes, you kind of have it in your head. I'm not, there's also chefs that I work with, or even line cooks now, that like they sketch their drawings. There was that show Bear. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. It's on Hulu. Is it Hulu? I don't know. Bear. I don't know if you saw it.
I've seen it's. I watched about half of the first episode, and it's really good. It's just not R&R for me,
Yeah.
So I'll watch it when I go to the retired line cook someday. I'll watch it.
It does bring a lot of anxiety back.
Yeah.
The thing is like real and raw. But one of the things is, to me, is that he has a little sketchbook and he's like drawing all these dishes and blah, blah. And it's funny because somebody asked a few weeks ago, hey, where's your sketchbook? I'm like, what sketchbook? He's like, like the drawings or what's the dish going to look like? No. It's all up here. I know kind of what I want it to look like. I know what I want it to, but we know what it's going to taste like because we tasted all this. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like everybody's watching. What are you going to do next? Like, no. Like, just, yes, it's it's an ongoing process for sure.
Well, there are a few restaurants that I think are kind of like isolated islands of culinary genius or inspiration or whatever you want to call it, and they're usually outside cities. And we referred to Ryder a couple of times before, so we're everybody out there in industry land. We're talking about Ryder's he was the sous chef and then the chef de cuisine at Soul Bar. He's a good friend of Gustavo's for a long time, and I'm sure still. But my memory is that y'all worked together at the Inn at Little Washington, right?
Yes, that's exactly where we met. Yeah.
Well, and Ryder had incredible guest service stories from, I think, he and Misha going there on their honeymoon, and that inspired him to work there. But that's a place that, since it's outside of a city, I don't think it was like on the stage circuit for a lot of us. And you could go and hit 7-8 places in New York City for a stage in a week, or the same thing in San Francisco. But to get to the Inn of Little Washington was a little bit of a trek. So tell us what was special, or what do you remember particularly about having worked at that place? Because it's it's been in its own lane for a long time.
It has. Honestly, the only reason I ended up over there, it was through connections and working with people that worked there. That's the way I got in. I remember I was telling a story a few months ago. The Wine Spectator magazine came out. I was in high school, and there was a picture of the kitchen of the Inn of Little Washington, and I remember just cutting it out. I didn't tell the librarian that, but anyways, so I cut that picture out and I put it in my room, and I had it on my little and I was like, I want to go there one day, or I want to work there one day, because it's a beautiful, it's like this beautiful replica from France that it was made and it was installed, and it's a gorgeous kitchen. It's like almost like a sanctuary, a temple. Anyways, long story short, it went where I was in California. I was in Beverly Hills at the Peninsula, and the chef de cuisine that I just hired came from there. So there was definitely a lot of interest in me talking to him, and obviously kind of like showing what I was able to do. And because eventually I wanted to go back there, I wanted to be able to get in. I lived in Virginia, so it was about 3.5 hours from home, technically. So I was going home for a week or vacation, I can't remember. And he goes, when are you going? I said, I'm going for this long. He's like, can you make it to the inn? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I can probably get you a stash there. And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Right. So I remember it was my brother, my mom, and I, and we drove 3.5 hours that morning to get there at 9 a.m. And I stayed there until like 9 p.m. My brother and my mom was just walking around the town. It's like 3 blocks long and 3 blocks deep. I mean, it's not that long, big. So they entertained themselves for almost 12 hours. And then I left there at 9 p.m. and we drove back home. There was nowhere to stay, and we were going to stay. So I still thank my mom for that, and my brother for sticking through that. But it was amazing. It was probably one of the best 12 hours ever. I mean, the attention to detail, the food, the camaraderie. I mean, it was really, really cool, really special. So I end up working there, and that's where I met Ryder and Misha. They came in for the anniversary dinner. They had the most amazing attention to detail like you ever think, and that was so good that they wanted to come back. So one of the things there that I learned, it was definitely the attention to the attention to detail and sense of urgency. It was huge there. When the guests came into the restaurant, internally they were graded from 1 through 10 on their mood. And the idea is that 1 being, the worst, and 10 being the best or happiest. Our job, the job servers, the food, everybody, all together as a family, we were in charge to make sure that that number from whatever the low was, trying to get it to the 10 as high as possible. And then a lot of times was achieved. 90% of the time was achieved, from, having conversations to talking to them, to bringing them in the back and show them the kitchen, like the kitchen tour that we used to do. So it was really, really cool. If you stay there in the hotel, which was only, I believe back then, it was only 8 rooms or 10 rooms, very small. You were obviously greeted by, first name and last name. And if you had a drink one night and then the next night, you will know what drink you will have in the next day. And that's how there was all those personal touches. And we're in the middle of nowhere. So there was no cell phone service. The nearest town, obviously, was almost 30 minutes. And that was the Walmart, maybe 45 minutes. And the city, yes, San Francisco, I'm sorry, DC was an hour and a half, but it was in the middle of nowhere. But we got to learn a lot, and we had to be with the farms. There was a lot of farms within the area, from a pig farm, from produce, the tomatoes. To me, that was like the first time tomatoes was a tomato. Like, once you try a tomato in season, you don't want to go back to tomatoes in the winter. I mean, right. It was ridiculous. The amazing stuff. The fish that came in from the East Coast, it was amazing. Blue crabs. That's one of the things I kind of learned back again to work with blue crabs, which is amazing. But the respect that we had for the respect that they taught us for the product there, it was definitely mind blowing. It was a lot of work. But the place, is the place still there, and it's still now it's rated to be, I believe now they have 3 stars, which is really, really cool. Back then we weren't, rated at all, but it was definitely a place where people wanted to go, not only to visit, to eat, but also kind of to work. And definitely was very lucky to be a part of that team, because I definitely learned a lot of structure, discipline, and attention to detail for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Well, I want to zoom forward all the way back to the present day and talk again about Solage. And so, when y'all sit around and have your, because this is another thing that I think that chefs and all managers in private restaurants kind of don't have a feeling for, because it's such a, opening restaurant is such a just crushing ordeal. You're just trying to hang on. You're just trying to get the right product. You're just trying to get enough staff, and you're just trying to have enough cash to get the doors open. And for all the planning that's done and writing the employee handbooks and coming up with mission statements, it really all kind of, it gets so, it's like you have all this, it gets packed down to like diamond level pressure, around opening. And then you're just so relieved and so happy to have the doors open and be in business. But Solage, having been open for, going on 20 years now, so planning and goal setting is still such a huge part of the process, whether you're a restaurant that has been open a year or a big resort that's been open for almost 2 decades. So how do y'all, what are some of the markers that y'all have for success, and what are some of the goals that y'all set for yourselves?
Well, in the last few years, competition has kind of sprung on us. So definitely kind of that drives, obviously, our personal goals and our egos. For a reason or another, Four Seasons decided to put a place across the street. So that means that, Solage or Calistoga is doing something right. Otherwise, they wouldn't done that.
Yeah.
And then we have Montage in Healdsburg, also kind of in a caliber of ours. Obviously, Carneros has always been, a place, down the road when we compare ourselves to hotels and hotels with restaurants. But when it comes to goal settings, is we talked about of what we did last year, what we did great, what didn't accomplish last year, what we tried to accomplish but we didn't get to, and if that's something that is a priority again this year. Because sometimes you get in those meetings where like, okay, well, this is what we did last year, we didn't do it, now let's try to do it again. But it doesn't make any sense. Is it really gonna make us better? Is it really gonna attract more cooks? Is it gonna attract more people to come into the restaurant? So those are the things that we talked about, and honestly, we get to the level where it's like, what do you want to do this year? What do you want to accomplish? Is it you want to have 5-6 dishes in the menu this year? Do you want to run a special dinner on Saturdays in the winter? What are your goals? And see if I can assist in helping to come with those. And then when it comes to the business level, obviously, there's always the numbers and what we did and how we're doing better and how can we work and do that. Now, one of the things that we're focusing this year is the experiences. It's a thing of I think just a 2025 hotels. People want to come and spend, not only, their money in a hotel, but there's the idea of, there is local activities that you want to do, but what are we doing internally that are attracting the guests to stay on property, because there is so much going on, from our spa experiences to food, to wine, like whiskey tastings, tequila tastings, agave tastings. There's a lot of things that we're trying to focus and provide for our guests this year, so they don't go somewhere else and find them, kind of thing. So
So, chef, on the wall behind you is your wife, who's now locally world famous for her gluten-free baking company based there out of Calistoga. So, please tell us about that operation.
Yes. So Laurel, my wife, she lost her job right during COVID. So it was obviously a tough time, just like the rest of the world was living. I was furloughed for a few months and then eventually went back to work. And we started doing the to-go meals and all that, like everyone else. So I was lucky to be able to come back to work and bring some of the staff back in the beginning, and eventually, we're back to normal, if you want to call it. She lost her job. Obviously, she wanted to do something from home because we couldn't do anything outside of the house. And then she also found out that she had a gluten allergy. So that was very tough with the girls growing up. It became from lactose intolerant, and then lactose intolerant went away, and then gluten kind of stuck for her. So the girls are fine; they can eat anything, and they will eat anything. But then my wife had to deal with gluten free, and she knew, and we knew that gluten free was really horrible products out there. Because we tasted them all. Trust me, there was she wanted to eat this and she wanted to eat that, and she wanted to just try to be normal. And fortunately, she couldn't. So she always had a thing for baking. It ran in her family with her mother and her grandmother, and so she wanted to do something that she believed and thought that I could do better than what's out there, because not only I want to enjoy it, but I think there's a lot of people in my shoes that think the same thing. So I'm going to work on it and I'm going to kick ass on it. So Solage became the guinea pig. The whole kitchen crew became the guinea pigs on trials and errors, and she will bring boxes of things, and some will eat and enjoy it. And we're like, wow, that was amazing. And some were like, yeah, thank you, kind of thing.
Some fine tuning. Yeah.
Cool. Exactly. But it was a lot of back and forth on that. So then she got a license. It was called, in California, it's called, I'm not sure how it works in where you are, but it's called as a food cottage operator permit. So you can operate from your home. There's a lot of rules that what you cannot do and can do on regarding product. Like you can't do anything with, dairy, like cream cheese and things that need to be refrigerated. You can't do pies. So it's very kind of small, the guidelines on that. So she started as a farmer's market. That's how the thing kind of took place. In Calistoga, we have a small little farmer's market that she started doing on Saturdays. And first thing that she was doing, it was her coffee, cake and donuts. That's how it kind of started. And from now on, it kind of started getting creative. Finally got down to the sourdough bread, like a batard, not an actual sourdough, but it's a batard sourdough style. And now she's doing a Pullman for sandwiches. I mean, unbelievable stuff. Right now, she just, and I can share that because it's official. Model Bakery is going to be carrying some of her product.
Wow.
It's huge. Yeah, it's
Nice.
huge. For the St. Helena and the Napa location.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So as of right now, she has about 20 wholesale accounts, and this is coffee shops in the Valley and grocery stores. Kalmar, one of them here, Browns Valley and Napa, coffee shops, all over. There's and now Model Bakery is going to be carrying her bread and I think some of her donuts.
Man, that's
So
phenomenal. Congratulations.
yeah, it's
That's amazing.
very, very exciting. It's a lot. I don't know how she does it. Obviously,
Yeah.
we have turned the kitchen, our side of the living room / dining room, into a kitchenette in a way, tubs and working tables and speed racks, but it all has to be done with an oven at home. So
Yeah.
that oven has been replaced once already. But she's doing it. She's killing it. So right now, we're in the midst, or she's in the midst of kind of looking for a space, because she has definitely outgrown the living room. Otherwise, we're going to start losing the girls, or the girls' bedroom.
right.
Start turning into to a walk-in. No, but she's doing great. So yeah, she has coffee cake, donuts, cookies. She does special orders here and there. Her bread. She has a bread club. She has I don't know, maybe 100 plus members in there. And not everyone orders once a month, but she does it, which is really, really cool. People are excited, and she's loving it.
And it's just Fee and Me, right? Is that what the website is?
Yeah, it's called Fee and Me Baking Co.
Okay.
And it's obviously back then it was just Sophia, Laurel, and I, and she thought it would be cute and catchy, and it was a good story. The Fee and Me. So Sophia is still very proud of it.
Yeah.
Once in a while, she puts stickers on the bags and call it a day. She's exhausted. But yeah, she has an Instagram for it, and that's the best way to probably contact her. So she's doing great with the bread club and wholesales. She's definitely very, very busy, on top of taking care of me and the girls and the dogs. So full-time job for sure.
Amazing. Well, Chef, thank you so much for your time today. It was fantastic to catch up. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Say hello to the family.
I will. And so everybody knows, we got my phone overheated on the dashboard of the truck. So we got cut off for a minute. So there's going to be two parts to this episode. Part of it will be the view with me facing out the windshield. And now part of it is this. And so, another technical rookie mistake on my part, but I'm learning as I go. So I appreciate everybody's understanding. But Chef, yeah, thanks again, man. All the best. And keep kicking ass. It's great talking.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. All right. Take care.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching, reading, listening, or otherwise following along. You can find more free content and premium content at the-industrystandard.com.